Good morning. How is everybody?
Oh my
Yo,
gosh,
Liv, you're
drink some
starting
coffee.
at a 2 out of 10, right? And I'm gonna need you to come up to at least a 6.
Yeah, we both like, yo, are you alive down
Are
there? Is
you
it okay?
okay? Yo, you know what? Let's all send our prayers out to Liv. He's come into close
Oh, that's
contact.
right. He does have. Never mind. I'll be quiet.
All right, well, with that said, y'all ready for this?
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters,
This is a journey into sound.
The fattest, funkiest tunes in town.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Greetings. My name is Elaine Adams. Some people call me Stock Mom. And I'm happy to be here today and happy to introduce you to the Stockhouse U Pre-Market Show. What do we do here? Let me tell you a little bit about its features. We talk about futures. We talk about indices. We talk about ETFs, individual stocks. We cannot wait to talk about the news for today. We talk about our trades, both good and bad, and the trading psychology behind those trades. Now, this is not financial advice, and we have never given that out. We will never tell you how to trade. If somebody else tells you how to trade or gives you a promise, you should also watch the hell out. However, we can help you understand why we take the trades that we do. Now, if you enjoy these types of conversations, if you want to hop up on stage and add something to the conversation, you're more than welcome. Just raise your hand. If not, please, we'd love it if you'd ping some people into the room and make this a bigger event than it already is. Last but not least, if you haven't already, please click on the top left and join our club. With that said, I'm joined by some of my favorite people. Vanessa, Christopher, Liv, Shivam, Alec, good morning. Now, normally we start our days off with a quote and just kind of try to set the tune about how we're feeling and what we're getting into. Today, I would like to start with, let's start with Christopher. Christopher, do you have a quote for us today?
Good morning, everybody. And actually, I do. I'm going with the Motivational Monday quote today. So, Monday is a state of mind. So, put on your positive pants and get stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. Vanessa, good morning. Do you have a quote for us today?
Good morning, everyone. So my quote is just something that I had posted on my Instagram, I think this weekend. And the statement was, what is the return on investment on not giving a fuck? Excuse my language. But the return on investment is speed, because when you waste time like worrying about things that you can control, you have less time to focus on things that you can control. So yeah, let's not waste time today focused on things that we can't control, but let's focus on the things that we can control in our lives and the things that we can change to make ourselves better. My name's Vanessa. I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Liv, do you have a quote for us? Are you okay? Do you need more time for coffee?
Hi, good morning, everybody. So, my quote today is your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change.
Lovely. Shivam, good morning.
Good morning, Elaine. How are you?
I'm better than the Tiger Cub. I think I'm definitely doing a little bit better than Archigo.
Yep. So I have a quote today, and it's actually inspired by how things folded on Thursday and Friday, and how some of the quote unquote leaders were acting on it. So, leaders of Clubhouse, to be honest. Um, if your actions don't live up to your words, you have nothing to say.
I'm not even going to come behind that. I love a quote like that. So my quote for the day is by David Solomon, who is the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and it's pretty simple. It goes like this: if you need somebody to tell you you did a good job, go hire somebody to do that for you. And for me, it relates to the idea of validation. So many times, and we all do it in some small way. We want to know that people are trading the way that we are. We want to know that people see the connections that we're looking for. We want to know that when we made mistakes, that we're not the only person that did it. And I think Clubhouse, and specifically a lot of the rooms that we do, are kind of based around that, like wanting for connection, community, but ultimately validation as well. And although I do think that's not, there's not a bad thing with that. However, it just is important to recognize that and know that, at least for me, the best and only validation that I actually need comes from inside of myself, and also literally just from existing. Because you're here, because you put in that effort, because you tried, because you took that trade, because you lost or won, you are indeed valid. Not only that, it's progress, right? And waiting for somebody to notice that sometimes can take away from the amazing like achievements that people are doing. Some of the best things that people have done just go unnoticed, and that's okay. So it's something I'm thinking about. With that said, everybody else, you guys don't have to have a quote. If you do, that's cool. If you want to just say good morning and we'll move on to our next segment, that's also awesome too. So Alec, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I do have a quote just because I've seen some people, and my son's a little active today, so I apologize. I'll keep it quick. Failure is simply part of the process. So remember that. I've seen a lot of people bummed out lately on Twitter, but remember, you have to fail to succeed.
Absolutely. Marcus, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing today?
Oh, we're feeling all right. We're feeling better than
I
the
have one
fucking
simple
Suez
quote.
Canal.
All right, it's open, I think. My quote is this: "You always pass failure on the way to success." That's Mickey Rooney, famous actor.
Oh yeah, the road to success is just littered with failure. It's the pavement. These are the steps, the building blocks of success is pure failure. I love that. Fahim, good morning.
Hi, how are you? No real quotes, just hanging out here.
No, we love it, man. Thanks for hanging out. And also, you're like the resident Tesla person. And how do you feel about Tesla at 620 right now? How does that make you feel? Are you gobbling up dip?
No, right now I'm just hedging the market, but the market I think is getting back to a position I like. So I would look at it probably later this week. But right now, yeah, I'm not adding any Tesla.
No, I love that. The Tesla valuation conversation continues, but not right now. Reverend, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I got a little quote. So, something that brought to my attention was suitability. Having a show regarding suitability next Sunday, but a lot of people try to chase those gains with penny stocks and more speculative investments, starting off like options. So, I wanted to, for beginning investors, take your time. There's a quote that says, "He who wishes to be rich in a day will be hung in a year." So just wanted to, make sure you guys have the opportunity to take your time and understand what everything you're investing in is. And yeah.
I love that. So with that said, let's hop into some futures. seriously though. Okay, so yes, yes, I'm a technical trader. Yes, I believe in reading the technicals and what you can glean from that. But today, personally, I'm looking at the news. I feel like we are bound by some of the political events that are going on right now, and that is going to have a much stronger. I mean, the technicals need to balance with some fundamental underlying thing. It doesn't matter if it's at a setup. If there's no underlying catalyst, we're not going to get the support we need on some of these breakouts. And if we look at our S&P 500 futures, which is /ES, you will see that we right now are at the range of breakout. So we closed on Friday at 39.43. Oh, sorry. We closed it Friday on 39.64. We sit here at 39.43. Now we've been fighting up against a large resistance, and that resistance has happened at 39.24. I posted on all of our social media accounts like kind of a chart, and you can sort of see right now we kind of are sitting at a little bit of a double top type of situation. We've come up before previously on this 39.65 level, and already we're getting rejected from that. This is where we got rejected once again on the 18th of March. This is where we had a doji candle on the 16th of March. This is where we failed to hold that height on the 11th of March. This is this is where we once again were rejected on the 16th of February. Right, so this is a fairly crucial level, and I say that every morning, and I know, and you guys know, I'm excited to look at charts anyways, but this is it, right? This is support and resistance at its base level. I expect things to get rejected at resistance levels unless we have sufficient volume. And right now, currently, I am not sure if we will. There's so much news and so much volatility sitting in the market that I'm going to say that my personal expectations is for a rejection. Now, if we can hold over this 39, I mean, I'll even take it all the way down to 3,900. If we can hold over 3,900, that would be great. And if you notice, this will correspond to 390 on SPY, right? So if we're holding over that region, that would be beautiful. We closed it. Well, I'll talk about SPY later, but it's the same thing. It's just that the futures are traded 24 hours a day. Right, so we want to see this. We want to see this hold at the 3,900 level, and we can start to build slow support moving towards that 4,000. However, if we cannot hold this, we already have a new given bottom of 3,800, and that's sort of where I expect us to stay, especially when we look at some of the major players inside of the S&P that may or may not be affected. But we'll talk about that when we do our sector breakdown. But some of these sectors are just experiencing high levels of volatility, and that's going to have an effect on the index. Moving up to the Nasdaq, we're also at a different point in the chart. And so there's something like the storyline with the Nasdaq for me. It goes like this. Please break the 50-day moving average. That is all. I would like to see us hold above the 50-day moving average. If you'll look on a daily chart or whatever chart you prefer, but I'm using a daily chart on a 1 year time frame. You'll see that once again, we have been rejected from the 50-day moving average 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times since the beginning of March. This has happened. And before that in February, we fell far below that when we took that much larger pullback. And previous to that, we were holding above. Now, I love seeing moving averages used as support, and it's difficult, especially when we start looking into our shorter range moving averages as resistance points. And why is that? Because it says that we're having a slowing of momentum. Right now, obviously, if we zoom out and just look at the movement that we've made since last March, there has been incredible growth and incredible momentum in the market. And we're seeing a slowing of that on many levels, specifically in our major cap tech markets. And so this 50-day moving average being used as a resistance is something that I would love to see us break above. Now, we don't have to fly above it and be extremely extended or anything like that, but I do look to see just a nice buildup towards that place that we're looking at, which for our NASDAQ futures for me is 13,300. That's what I would like to see us move towards and just hold towards. We're consolidating, but where we consolidate on a pattern is extremely important. Now, if we have a downtrend for a few weeks like we had starting in February, we downtrended in the NASDAQ. 1, 2, 3 solid weeks of downtrend if you're looking at a weekly chart. And then after that, we've had 3 weeks that were all just complete dojis, where we started and ended basically at the same spot. Now, this shows indecision, but indecision that happens after a downtrend, the potential is, and the expectation could be, a reasonable expectation could be for the continuation of that downtrend. Right? And so once again, for me on the momentum side, I'm saying, hey, I don't mind a consolidation. I understand, but I would love to see us consolidate near the top side of this range as opposed to the bottom. You know, that is historically called a bear flag when we have a downtrend and some level of consolidation that builds into a point and then the continuing of the trend before the consolidation happened. Now, if we look on a larger scale, on a monthly or whatever it is, you would look at this a little bit differently and say, you know, the true overall pattern is an uptrend, and you would be correct. But just because the larger pattern says, hey, in the long term we're going to go up, that doesn't mean that we can't see plenty of consolidation, volatility, and have, you know, some truly difficult to trade weeks, to be honest. Now, the last thing I want to look at is the Russell, which... So, and the storyline of the Russell has also been a tale of consolidation, and here we are moving right down towards this 2200 level. Now, the Russell, Jesus Christ, you guys, I'm sorry. All of my charts are weird. So the Russell, we had it. We had a little bit of a nice day on Friday where we started at 2180 and we ended around the 2217 level. And we've pulled back slightly. We're now sitting at 2202. Now we've been trading between this 2200 and 2300 level for since January, very specifically, where previous to that, that 2200 level formed a little bit of a resistance for us. We managed to break through that and have traded in range. We've also been rejected from the 2300 level, specifically sitting at 2373. So these rejections are so important, and the maintaining of support is also extremely important. Now, if we do hold the support, we can absolutely look to the Russell and say, I expect, given the past previous pattern, that we will have at least a green moment, a moment where we've held that 2200 and we can continue to move up just a little bit before we hit the 2300 where we have been historically knocked back. And also, once again, this is another story about the 50-day moving average. We're currently, the 50-day moving average, that 2221 level that we hit on Friday, that we have been rejected from, we're seeing that as well. So the question is, are we going to see a change of momentum characterized by the rejection off of our moving averages, or are we going to see something where we see a consolidation, but it's not a bearish consolidation? And that's important to me. As we speculate, this is all speculation based off of the chart, having nothing to do with the fundamental things of the companies inside of these indices. But here we are. That is my take on a couple of the futures. Anybody else have anything to add, or can we go to Chris to talk about oil?
Sure. So quickly on SPY, I think what you covered on S&P 500, SPX or SPY, I completely agree with it. I think the biggest fundamental difference between S&P 500 this week and S&P 500 last week is that last week overall there was a fear of uncertainty in the market. Right now what we're seeing a bit of retracement in the S&P 500 is mostly because one of the biggest sectors contributing to S&P, that's financial sector, is facing a bit of dilemma just on the couple of news which we're going to discuss in the news section. Now what that does is it goes two ways, right? And that's what I want to make it clear. One way is there's going to be a lot of sell-off. Maybe all of it is done. Maybe all of it is not done. Pure speculation. We don't know anything about that. We will know as the news unwind, right? As we come to know about it. On the other side, if there are strong hedge funds, there are strong institutional investors, there are strong big retail investors in the play. If finance goes down, where generally the money flows back? If the traditional sectors are going down, the growth sectors, including technology, that's where the money starts to go back. So this is going to be a very good, interesting time. Last week I was bearish, and I think I was pretty spot on why I wanted to be bearish. This week, because I think it's not that much of a reversal, and most of it is caused by a couple of miscreants or whatever the news want to say it. I feel that if the money moves around within the sectors of the S&P 500, we might see a better day 2, day 3. Also to keep in mind, this is a shorter week for the market. This is just 4 days. So those of you who do options, make sure April 1st is the day. It's not till Friday. So you will have a higher theta this week.
Extremely important, Shivam. Absolutely spot on. I agree with you. Those 4-day weeks are very crucial for options traders. It means that you basically lose 2 days that you're able to trade the same week contracts, because you shouldn't trade contracts that expire on Thursday on a Thursday. So it just pushes us up to the next week and means that we're going to pay a little bit more on premium, but that's all right. Anybody else?
I would just want to quickly add, there's also a bit of dumping that should be happening today from a couple of different holdings. And I just want people to be very cautious about that. Whenever I usually don't get anything that picks up on my scanner, I notice that it's usually going to be a day where it might start off good, and then halfway through the day we dump. So just keep in mind and be caution when you enter your trades this morning. Not financial advice, but just lock your profits. Don't let it be unrealized losses.
I think we might start off today extremely volatile. I expect SPY to meet where we see the futures are. So I would expect kind of a large pullback first thing in the morning, but who knows? Hey, Christopher, you want to talk to us about oil prices?
Yeah, good morning. So we've got a lot going on today. Well, this week, I should say. I feel like first we should get into some of the news, which anybody that came to the DD room yesterday, we kind of went over it, but we're definitely going to go over it again and talk about some ranges here. So, yeah, we're looking at the futures, of course. Brent and crude is all up right now. Sorry, let me get back to my charts. I was in a different article at the time. But we are up to that 61.20 range and looking to make a move towards that 61.50, 61.55 range. We've been up to 61.48 already. So, but it's still kind of choppy, right? So we've got some news around OPEC this week, which is, of course, April 1st, and we will be streaming it here when we get a time. We'll actually put it out to you on the daily briefing on Thursday. But just make sure that that's on your schedule, so you want to be looking out for that. Also, the Suez Canal. As of yesterday, when I was talking about it, we were at like 234 ships. Well, now it's 321. However, the
400,
Evergreen,
Christopher. It got
was it?
updated to 400. There's
It's
more
updated?
ships waiting in the Suez Canal than are in the entire U.S. Navy.
Well, there you have it. So
Gee.
yeah, it's going up literally by the hour. So yeah, at 400 now. So while that is creating some supply issues, it is now afloat again, and that is returning to some optimism for the week. Like I've been saying, we've been waiting for that next leg up to 80. We've been, the highs are hovering around $70 a barrel, and so we could be, getting some chop here, just depending on, if the Evergreen is actually going to go, or get freed up and potentially this week, so that we can start making moves back towards some sort of normalcy. And so if that happens this week, it's really hard to call it right now. I think it's just too early in the week as far as the supply and demand issues. But I'd be looking for a break back up towards 70 after that OPEC meeting and some positive news about the Evergreen. If not, we could be trading in this $62 to $59 range for a little while longer, and it's just going to continue to remain choppy. But yeah, that's my take on oil.
No, I appreciate that. And I also just want to throw in something about natural gas, because I feel like natural gas does kind of, it has been in a slump recently. We've seen a strong sort of downtrend that's been going on with natural gas since February. However, I also see us kind of near a bottom, and especially dealing with what happened in the Suez Canal, looking at the potential for a little bit of an uptick based off of demand, as well as based off that limitation in the supply world. Also, on the supply side, so shipping is something that I was not extremely knowledgeable about. And, as these things happen, we all start to become more and more knowledgeable. But it seems as though we're having an infrastructure problem in the major ports of the world. And it kind of is associated with the whole thing that's going on in the Suez Canal. So a couple of things are happening. And also, the ship is not completely unstuck. It was stuck on both sides, and now one side is not stuck. However, the hull or whatever, so I think the front of it, God, I don't know nautical terms, is still stuck. Also, it did sustain damage. So even if it's going to move outside of, whatever, completely blocking this canal, currently they're saying they're just going to park it in one of these side tributaries, basically, because there are structural integrity problems with this ship. And also, I don't know if we can trust the news on this one. It seems like the independent contractors are giving us much longer time frames than the major news sites, and that's something to consider, that we're not going to get clear news. If they said, yeah, we don't know when this thing is going to get fixed, hey, it's going to be a few weeks, the entire market's going to react extremely strong. So I would like to talk about that. Also, sorry, so what affected the Suez Canal as well? Well, if we look at the size of these ships, which is measured in, I don't know, total equivalent units of, it's like 20 square feet for 200 square feet, sorry, for these containers, they've been growing exponentially. Now, what does that mean? It means that the ships are bigger, and most importantly, the bottom of the ship, it grows bigger. So we've been hearing in the Suez Canal that what they've been doing is called dredging. And dredging is basically when you kind of take dirt out of the bottom of any sort of water channel to create more depth for a larger boat to pass. Well, we're seeing blockages in both Los Angeles and Long Beach, at least, traffic jams. They're not being able to unload these ships quick enough, and that's also causing sort of supply issues. Like I said, we've seen an exponential growth of these large shipping boats, and what happens is they take over trade routes because they're able to carry more and more materials. However, because of that, the trade routes need to be dredged because they were not made to accommodate ships of that size. And so we're going to be seeing these infrastructure problems potentially continue. Not only that, become exacerbated as they need more and more money to continue to expand to deal with the shipping size. So for anybody slightly interested, I thought that was really interesting and talks more about the infrastructure of the world in which we live on and the products that we need.
I had one thing to add about the price. So apparently, like pre-COVID, maybe like a year or two ago, it cost about $1,500 per container. And then that price jumped up to $4,000 per container before the Suez Canal got blocked. So I'm wondering, I mean, that's what, 2.5 times the price increase, a little over 2.5 times the price increase, and that's pre-blockage. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect it. Also, it looks like people are taking things off. I thought they were removing them to save them. It looks like they're actually just taking the containers off and giving all the products away to everyone who's local because they don't have any way to retain them. So that's going to cost a lot of.
Yeah, it seems as though it's going to cost a lot of money. There were livestock ships inside of this pileup. There were things that needed to get to where they were going, and going around Africa takes weeks. So it is. I don't know. I just don't believe the news. I don't believe that this is not going to have any sort of serious economic impact. Why? How can you have a place where 12% of the world's like commodities come through that stays halted for more than a few days and say that there's not going to be any noticeable impact? But hey, that's just the news. So we'll do a quick refresh and we'll talk about more news because I'm not done yet.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first place every morning you should stop to get your stock market news. That's right, I'm talking about the morning show presented by Stockhouse University. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. This is a conversation amongst friends that love talking about stocks and want to improve our profitability by coming here every day, talking about the market, relevant news, and how we're going to use that information to be profitable. We think education should be accessible and affordable to everyone, so we have a free Discord that has tons of resources and over 1,800 amazing members at all different skill levels that are also talking about the market, and they're trying to grow as well. We also do free classes on Sundays, and we would love it if you would join that community and contribute because together we are so much more powerful than we are individually. invite your friends, invite your family. Let's all create opportunities for generational wealth. Also, if you like the conversations that we have here, make sure to click the greenhouse on the top and join the community. We love to continue the conversations, and we would love it if you guys would contribute every time we're on stage, not just in the Stockhouse family. Thank you.
Alrighty then. So with that said, I think a lot of us are kind of excited. I'd love to talk about news before we do the SPY breakdown today, if that's okay with y'all. Um, so normally we have a section on this show called Trash Trades, and we talk about trades that we've taken that were terrible. But on Mondays, it's not a great trash trades day. Also, I like to do a section called Buy the Dip, and it's like, hey, are there any dips that you're looking at that you might want to take a position in that for some reason or another? And I can kind of get into that as well as use it to talk about a little bit of news. So I don't know if you guys heard about it, but there was a huge block sell-off by Goldman Sachs and a couple other major banks that happened related to another fund called Archegos. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And what happened was, and this is just what I'm reading, so somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Now, what happened was there are people who are basically on a no-fly list, you know, who have made questionable trades, who have done some sort of insider trading, who these major banks do not want to operate with. It was discovered that one of those people was still making trades and in charge of a desk at one of the subsidiaries of, you know, whatever, somebody that Goldman Sachs was partnered with. And so when they found that out in a retaliatory way, there was a margin call that happened, and as well as a large block sell. And a lot of banks are caught up in this. And also there were a number of stocks that were caught up in this that I honestly don't understand why, other than, you know, infighting between these banks, basically. And so those stocks were, well, the ones that I care about were Baidu and Tencent. We've talked about Baidu on this show quite a lot. We've talked about Tencent. I'm not going to go deep into anything because the truth is this is a stock price manipulation. This has nothing to do with the underlying fundamentals of the company. And so I see both of these as decent opportunities. Now, am I going to hop into it directly at the bottom, even though I think that there's a large potential for more sell-offs? No, I will not. But these prices are just at a discount, and it has nothing to do with the fundamentals. Nothing has changed about them. Tencent is still poised and extremely competitive inside of their gaming market and the services that they provide. And it's the same thing with Baidu. So on the other side, and we've seen some volatility already, but the truth is XLF contains more than just these major banks. So if we were to talk about XLF, which is the financial sector ETF for the SPY, some of the stocks in there that have taken a pretty large pullback, well, you know, over 1%, would be Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Credit Suisse, Dutch Bank, who are all involved in, you know, whatever, holding shares in this margin call, and all have taken considerable pullbacks. Along with that, we do have, and I talked about this previous, the SLR exemption, which is it's a supplementary leverage ratio. And what does it mean in the shortest, most simplest way I can explain? It's just saying that these banks are going to have to cover more of their trades because of whatever. There's a ratio of money that they had to basically back the trades and positions that they were taking, which was lowered and is now not. So they were able to just hold on to large amounts of money without doing that. Now, Credit Suisse specifically, and so what was their answer to do with this money? Because they now all of a sudden can't just hold it in their accounts. Well, they were going to do stock buybacks. I was really excited hearing this news because stock buybacks tend to mean that we're going to see a little bit of stability and also rising in the price of the stock. Now, Credit Suisse has already been said that the buyback will be affected because of the loss they took on the liquidation of the stocks they were holding. And that is a big deal to me. Other stocks, I mean, a lot of the other banks got caught up in this as well. JPM, Citibank, Wells Fargo, UBS, all down in the pre-market related to some of the volatility that's been happening in these banks. So that's something I'm kind of looking at. There's a couple of stocks inside of that I think got caught up in something that had nothing to do with them that may be poised for good position. And there's also kind of a situation happening in our financial sector. And like Shivam said, if we are going to see some rotation or just whatever, we're going to see a little bit of volatility right now in these financial sectors. I do expect the money to go into other places where it will be better represented. Anybody else looking at this whole bank situation or have a take? And if not, we can keep on going through other news because there's more. This is not it.
Yeah, there's more. Yeah, I'm ready to jump into some other stuff, but go ahead.
No, go for it, Chris. Let's go. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, so there's just so much political news going on as well, and I'm not liking much of it. Besides the infrastructure bill that's coming up. But Biden, Vladimir Putin, and Xi Jinping are about to get their first big global climate talks conversation going, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a shit show. Excuse my language, but I don't know. I think it's just going to be political banter.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm getting the appeal that it's going to be a excuse for the future war that we might have. I just feel that bringing this, knowing how they stand on climate change, it's just it seems like it's going to be an excuse to say we tried, so this is what we have to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing. Like I don't know exactly what it's going to mean for the markets, but I don't believe that it's it's going to be anything good. Like I don't see XLE or any of the energy plays like running up because of this. I'm not sold.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the back and forth between China, specifically them imposing sanctions against these religious rights officials and the Canadian member of parliament. I mean, it really it is indicative of the conversation that they had in Alaska, where human rights was a major thing, and people were talking about China's working conditions, and that also got pushed right back onto the U.S. with what's going on the border. So it makes sense to hear that Joe Biden is taking the border situation seriously or trying to talk about it. It also makes sense when we hear about the back and forth going on with some of our major companies. I'll specifically talk about Amazon and their fight against unionization, which is indeed kind of a big deal. It will affect their bottom line. However, it once again kind of just relates to this back and forth that we're having in China, which is bringing more attention to these industries that really do need to be recalibrated and moved into a place where we're valuing the people who hold us up. The base of the economy is transportation, is logistics, is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we have some huge inequalities dealing with the people who provide those services. And it's being brought up on a global scale. So I think that's really important. And this back and forth thing with China, who just also looks like they signed a deal with Iran to get oil directly from them. Also, if we look at this whole US-China thing, once again, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, steel prices have gone through the roof. We're seeing US steel just continue to grow week over week. Now, why is that? Because we got a lot of our steel from China, right? And now we're buying it from Germany. Now, I mean, US is tapped, so we're seeing the supply diminish while the demand stays the same or even grows as we continue to add these reopening projects. And all of that is caught up inside of this whole China trade war thing that we're seem like we're happy to get to hop into. I don't know. We'll have another like world politics room one day where we can talk more about that. It's a really big deal, and I personally don't understand why we would take strong positions against the second biggest economic power that looks like they're going to be the first in the short term future. All right, quickly, a couple other things because we should keep it going. So there have been a couple of upgrades that I was kind of excited for. Specifically, Twitter got upgraded to a $76 price target. And if we look at what Twitter's been doing on an infrastructure level, on a technology backend level as well, I mean, hey, I don't know if anybody's seen some of the meetings on Twitter Spaces, but their stock community has all of the checkmark CNBC people. So that's kind of cool. If you haven't been on it, I would just advise, whatever. There is a lot of information in that way too, and on top of that, it's just different. So I don't even think there aren't a lot of people doing what we do, but there are a lot of people who you can't find on Clubhouse who are doing something different, which is interesting. Maxer, MAXR is the ticker. Maxer also got a price upgrade to $47. It currently sits at $39, and part of that was because they got a U.S. Army contract for $48 million. And on top of that, these people make they're sitting in a very interesting and unique space where they're making a lot of parts for some of our space portals, for the International Space Station, for these satellites, specifically connected with government contracts. I've really enjoyed this stock. I've put it on our watch list a number of times, and I'll continue to do so as they continue to be sort of independent in the sector that they are, and kind of leading in terms of getting contracts, much like a PLTR. Last but not least, in my price upgrades little section here,
The
I'd like to
ship
talk
was
about.
just freed. Sorry, hot off the press. The ship was just freed. Oh, we're going to the moon. Holy shit. Okay. All right, let's do it.
No, Chris, we're not going to the moon. It's time for puts on all of the companies that like took huge upswings during this. They're coming right back down. Also, on top of that,
Not
oil
financial
prices.
advice.
Oh, right. Not financial advice. But, you know, like I would look to the downside. The things that went up the quickest are the things that are going to go down the quickest. So last but not least, Gamble also got a price upgrade to $20. It currently sits at $15. We've talked a lot about our gambling stocks. It seems as though we're going to get some strong economic policy. Okay, last thing. Did anybody hear about New York in incorporating a vaccine passport? Because that's happening now. You need a vaccine passport to get into some venues in New York, and they're thinking about making it something for the city and travel. So I know that there will be huge backlash associated with this from a certain segment of our population as it continues to move through. We've also seen that New York, out of all the states, there are a few states in the country right now that have upticks in COVID cases, and New York is one of them. So once again, these new strains are having an effect on us. We are still seeing lockdowns on a global scale, and we may move right back into that or some different form of just trying to control the flow of people in our country. So these are all the things that I'm thinking about for the news today.
That vaccine passport, that's interesting. I didn't see that, but I'm definitely going to read more into it.
Yeah, it's on your phone. They can like they scan your phone now. So unless anybody else has any super important or awesome news, oh God, Southwest made an order for 100 Boeing
DraftKings.
737 Maxes, which are going to get delivered in 2022. So I'm looking at Boeing, and I'm also looking at the airline industry, who are all saying they're recovering their transportation. Sorry, they're recovering with their riders, which is kind of a big deal. DraftKings? What happened with DraftKings?
Just a small thing, Elaine. For the Boeing part, the critical thing is it's a big order. It's 100 new plus some of the more, which is kind of an option order for future. The thing is, when the last time any news for even the 777 company broke out, and that was just 33 planes, Boeing took off. Today it is not taking off. So it's very important to see that it's not just being driven by the levels, but also influence of what is going on in the financial sector place. So anyone who's trading Boeing, just be cautious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I would 100% agree. DraftKings got another deal, and the rate that they're getting these deals is outpacing everybody. I mean, I know Dish is on the move as well as some other streaming service, but DraftKings just got on with WWE today.
Oh shit! You're right. That's a huge deal.
CDC will extend eviction bans through as well.
July 30th.
June
is what I read.
30th.
June 30th. Okay, well, you guys, we've definitely hit the news. Unless anybody has anything else to say, I'd love to hear Liv talk about.
Oh gosh! Oh my gosh! How do we not talk about Visa and Bitcoin and everything else?
Oh shit! Visa and stablecoin,
right. and then Mogo as well.
Well,
Mogo as well.
Don't say it halfway. Like, say the actual thing.
Okay. So Visa accepted stablecoin as a sorry, I forgot exactly what it was. I think it was
as a form of digital payment. They're accepting stablecoin as a form of digital payment, which bodes well for the crypto enthusiasts. No, they're saying that they'll take stablecoin transactions, but it doesn't say much about Bitcoin. However, if we look at the price of Bitcoin today, I believe, we're at all-time highs again. So we're sitting at 58,000. And it's not pure. Almost. I mean, it's almost to all-time highs. We're definitely back on an uptrend, and we've seen a humongous. I mean, it's up 8% from where it closed on Friday. So Bitcoin is up just based off of positive news, but Visa, PayPal, a lot of our financial plays that are not banks are also taking a really big upturn because of it.
Yeah, they were accepting it as settlement payments. That's what I was looking for. They're accepting stablecoin as settlement payments. The other thing, Mogo, they launched the first, which is actually pretty exciting for any crypto investors. Mogo launches first Bitcoin cashback mortgage. How about that?
I just want to know about the taxes. Am I going to pay capital gains tax on top of the tax that I'm going to pay on the fucking house? Because that's the whole issue here. For me at least, it's the capital gain side of the Bitcoin paying for things and holding on to situation. But yeah, and it's like double taxation basically. So that's that would be my major concern.
Yeah, but I think we covered all the news now.
All right, you guys.
Like everything.
Liv, do you want to talk about SPY?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at it, and after what you're saying, I'm kind of a little bit nervous as well. SPY is about to hit 400, you guys, and I am just so happy. It's at 399.94. I'd love to see it happen, but this just okay, we're back to 393. Okay, that was weird.
I was about to say that's like a $5 jump. Like,
No.
I thought we were
Okay,
really going
so
to the
real
moon.
quick, we closed Friday at 395, and currently right now we sit at 393.
Right. Maybe my screen glitched because I saw it hop at 399. Yeah. So looks like we're at 393, and depending on how we open, we may get a little bit of a pump in the morning, but otherwise, I still believe that we're going to go down. So my points of entry for the upside today would just be 395.98. I want to see us push that and at least consolidate around 394 to move up to touch the 400, and then I expect a rejection. But if we don't, then I'm assuming we're going to drop back down at 390 and stay there for a little bit and go sideways from 387 to 390 for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Oh, also, sorry, one more thing. Just keep in mind about every company in S&P 500 is some way or form tied to the Suez Canal incident. So we're not going to probably see it for a little bit, but there's going to be a lag and things will start to make sense. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, there is this really weird candle that's going on right now. That is odd.
Yep,
Man,
it is.
it's
Thank you.
odd and indicative. I don't know. I don't want to read too far into it. I just want to stay super objective with this one. And so like inside of this objectivity, we actually have been moving a really tight consolidation for the past 2 days, basically between like 393 and 394.92. And so I too would love to see a hold over 395. That would be very indicative, and just even a consolidation on that top line would be really nice. And for me, at this point, if we're going to hold under that, I want to say 393. If we don't hold that 393 level, I'll be looking for the 390s. And 390 once again, kind of correlating with our S&P 500 futures, right? Because that's what they're buying. They're saying in the future, I am comfortable buying SPY at $390, right? So that would be what I'd look for us to kind of settle to based off of the interaction between futures and the spot price of SPY. All right. If that's it, I just want to talk about a couple of the sectors because there's some amazing things going on. So if we look at some of the major winners kind of from last Friday to today would be XLI, which is our industrial sector. And we've talked about, some of the stocks inside of that, whether it's GE, whether it's Danahertz, whether it's Maxar, whether it's any of our 3D printing stocks. Our industrial sector is an interesting one. It involves a lot of tech plays. It also involves stocks that have something to do with government contracts, right? And so looking at this closing at 98.32, sitting here at 98.14 right now. But with that said, Right now, personally, I'm seeing a nice gap up on the day. I'm not really perturbed on some, intraday kind of price movement for the most part. I'm really excited about where our industrials were, and we watched our 3D printing stocks just have a great day on Friday. We're hearing some decent news about airlines, and on top of that, a lot of the shipping stocks also took a boost. Now, I wonder if the fall down on some of the shipping stocks is going to hold XLI to more of a consolidation pattern, but it's interesting nonetheless. Same thing with XLE. Now, this was something that kind of took a little bit of a pullback. However, we're waiting. We want to find out where this pullback is going to stop because this is something that trades in a range. So it's great. As soon as we find that bottom, we can look for the upside again. XLE closing at 50.43 and sitting at 50.04 right now, totally tied into global transportation. So I'll be waiting on that. XLK, our tech sector, once again had an amazing day on Friday. I mean, we watched big tech just blow up. So we closed at 132.67. We're sitting at 132.10 right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, if you talk about it, all of our major indices are down for the day, right? They're opening in the red, but that's okay. The question is, are we going to continue to have a larger pullback based off of global and economic news, or are we going to find some sort of settlement and do that consolidation, which will involve us hitting the bottom and having sort of one of those days where we, at whatever, near power hour, have another completely spy from 383 to 390 moment. And last but not least, I'll talk about materials, XLB. Our materials sector is going nuts right now. Especially for a sector that it just tends to be slow moving. I think we're sitting, I mean, we're not even contemplating, we're looking at a breakout. I mean, we're currently sitting at 76.69. No, sorry. We closed at 79.69 and currently we're sitting at 79.63. And so 79.33. But if we look at where we were previous to that, we couldn't hold over 77. This thing has gapped up and is kind of just showing us a ton of momentum and a ton of power. And that could be for a number of reasons. If we talk about materials, once again, a lot of the materials that are in shorter supply right now related to the Suez Canal thing are having a really great moment. If we talk about materials from a supply and demand point of energy needs to open and reopen the country, there's a lot going on there. We've all talked about materials as a sympathy play to any of our emerging technologies plays, whether it's IoT, whether it's the semiconductors and the gases that are needed for that. I could go down the list actually. XLB, although it is just a slower moving sector as a whole, I mean, is extremely interesting right now and something I'm going to be continuing to look at through the week. And I'll shut it down because we've definitely gone over, but I think the news that we talked about was extremely important. So thank you guys.
Agreed. Well, if anybody doesn't have anything to add to that one, then we will jump into our watch list with 7 minutes to go. So we'll make it like a speed round.
It doesn't matter. There's not that many people. Go ahead, Christopher. What's on your watch list for today?
I'm watching Boeing, but I do want people to be careful. I'm not necessarily looking to play it until I get some clear direction from the market, but I like Boeing at the current levels for a long-term position, but I'm also looking at it for a swing trade. Yeah, let me call out some levels here. Give me just a second.
Hey, Chris, just sorry, I have to drop off again, but one quick update for you all. Wells Fargo is said to be shopping a large block of VIAC, the Viacom CBS shares.
Yeah,
it was like 50.
Yeah.
It was like, was it 50 million or 500 million? It seems like a significant
It's a
amount.
crazy number. Yep.
Viacom's going straight down to earth. There's going to be a lot of bank sell-offs today associated with that whole Archegos thing and margin call.
100%.
I'm
100.
with you.
And the biggest thing is like, and sorry to interrupt. The biggest thing is if a bank which is capped like Wells Fargo and their investment arm is into it at 500 million or whatever the number is, imagine what's going to happen with the uncapped banks.
No, yeah, exactly. Just for those levels, guys, I'd be looking forward to pull back under 250 to 249.87 range, and then I'd be taking a position and swinging it up to about 255.
Yeah, for me, I'm not really sure either. I'm kind of just watching the market, to be honest. If I play anything, I think I will be playing an index or something like SPY, to be honest. Although I do have a couple of things on my watch list I talked about, specifically Baidu and Tencent. And once again, I'm just going to be looking to see if we can hold now. We have held on the 200-day moving average from our last sell-off. And so currently we're sitting at 210. We closed on Friday at 208. I'd love to see it hold above 170. I would love to buy at 170 if I'm going to be honest. But the question is, are we going to see more sell-offs? I always ask if I'm going to buy into a dip, is it done dipping yet? I'm just not sure. Same thing with Tencent is another one.
Gobbled the dip.
Yeah. And I'll leave those alone. Another thing that I'm looking at, honestly, is our entire semiconductor section. So we had an amazing, amazing day on Friday where Applied Materials had like a 5% day or something like that. But currently we closed at 241 and we're sitting at 238. And we know when we have these kind of overall market pullback moments, that kind of big tech tends to be one of the main places where it gets hit. However, we're watching it happen in XLE. We're watching it happen in financials, but these financial institutions hold shares of a lot of tech plays. So I'm going to be watching that as well. I'm strongly looking at what's going on with Goldman Sachs. I know you guys have heard me talk about that a lot. I love trading the banks personally. And we've been on a little bit of a downtrend if we're looking on our daily chart. So for today, I would love to see us hold over 323, and that might be an entry point for me if I'm looking to kind of swing during the week. But that's it for me. Marcus, what are you looking at for the day?
Wait, real quick,
Oh, sorry.
real quick, Marcus. I do want, while you do have the mic, the ship is free. Can you go over the industries that are affected? I know you had all
Oh
four.
yeah. I was reading a New York Times article yesterday, and I'm pulling this off of memory. I apologize, but basically, livestocks, computers on there, transporters of oil, and it was one other big industry that was in there as well that was included. But yeah, you can Google it. There was a New York Times article that talked about the different industries that are on those ships. But that's my mental recap: oil, livestock, computers, auto. I think was the other one I'm missing, and that's it from that standpoint. But as far as the what I'm watching today, I was watching Hall of Fame. I just took a small position just to kind of look at that again. They were up on pre-market. Well, it looks like they're back up again. So I was just looking at definitely NFT play. That's it for me.
Hey, Vanessa, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm actually not watching a specific stock per se, but you guys mentioned that Bitcoin is up, so I'm just going to be watching all the stocks that tend to run with Bitcoin, like the Mars, the Riots, B Square. But definitely, I know that we should have an entry and exit, but I just think we should. I don't have one. I'm just watching them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think you're not alone. A lot of us are concerned about the volatility in the morning. Watching oil be both down and up in the span of a few hours is concerning. Looking at all of our major indices in the red, while we still have all this good news, is somewhat concerning. And then we also have a ton of questionable news. Reverend, last but not least, what are you looking at for the day, man?
Just keep my eyes open. I have some limit orders on some out of the money puts for SPY, and then just looking at some other opportunities to go into Abbott. It's too high right now, so I'm definitely looking at some price points around the one. I just had it. 18. I was thinking around like the 118 level, maybe even lower than that. So I'm just gonna put in some limit orders to buy, maybe 116, 118, and look out for that out of the money put. See if it hit.
I love it. Thanks, everybody. Unless anybody has anything else to add, I think I'm going to go ahead and hop into these affirmations.
So I'll quickly jump. I'm actually juggling between two calls. I'm looking at Boeing. 255, 260 are my levels. If it goes towards up, that's what I'm looking for. If it goes negative, I think I don't have any floor till 220. Goldman 336 is my key level, to be honest. That's what I want it to be at so that I can get some confidence on it. And SE is something I have been playing for last 2 weeks. I am expecting a good rally sometime soon. And if financial sector rotation happens where money moves out of finance, there's a big chance that technology or the growth valuations might end up getting, some kind of crumbles out of it. So these are the three plays I'm watching today.
Thank you so much. So with that said, here we go. Patience. I am patient. I am calm. I am collected. I am prepared. I'm prepared to take positions after getting confirmation of a trend. I'm prepared to trade to my plan. I am prepared to wait for the optimal buying opportunity. I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful for my own safety, health, and ability to trade in this market. I'm grateful for the love of the people around me and of the love and support that we all get from this community. Hope everybody takes a deep breath, watches the market. We expect volatility today, but you know what to do. You've seen this before. We'll see it again. I appreciate all of you. And last but not least, I'm grateful for the opportunity to create generational wealth, not for myself, but for the people that are important to me, for the people that rely on me, and for the people that look up to me. Hope everybody has a great day. This is Stockhouse U, and we are out of here.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Stay blessed.